The Cold War began year 1947 when the United States and the Soviet Union were left on bad terms at the end of World War II. Both became global superpowers and had rather different views. The United States is a capitalist country and wanted to influence the world in such a manner. However, the Soviet Union wanted to influence the world as well, but had communist views. Capitalism and communism can be considered complete opposites, as in communism, the economy has central control and government is totalitarian. In capitalism, the economy has very little involvement with the government, and the government is democratic. Considering the rivalry, both sides were on the brink of war. The U.S. feared a possible Soviet attack, and President Truman very much did not approve of Stalin and his ways. The USSR also feared an American attack and did not approve of capitalist views. Another factor in the start of the Cold War was the American denial of to share information on the atomic bomb, which the USSR fears since the bombing in Japan during World War II. The US was also planning an attack because of the Soviet occupation zones in Germany, where the Soviets would make use of old concentration camps as special camps for the detention of the Germans, which the US was against using.
The Soviet leaders were hiding missiles in Cuba. John F. Kennedy ended up noticing about it. So John F. Kennedy told the whole U.S. about these missiles that were being hidden in Cuba, and he said that the U.S. was prepared to use military force, if necessary, to neutralize this threat, which was the bombs being hidden, though an offer was made. The offer took a disaster to avoid when the U.S. agreed to the Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev's offer to remove the Cuban missiles in exchange for the U.S. promising not to invade Cuba.
The space race was a race during the 50s between the USSR and the US to see who will get to space first. It was a rather symbolic battle for the superiority, which pretty much was what the Cold War was. Russia was the first to able to make it a space with Sputnik 1 on the 4th of October, year 1957. The Soviet Union was also able to put the first man in space on April 12, 1961, with Yuri Gagarin. The U.S. was finally able to make a comeback by putting the first human on the moon on Apollo 11 on July 20th, 1969. The space race enhanced technology and research to a very high extent, which helped boost us to this day.
The Korean War began in June 25, 1950. It began with some 75,000 Korean soldiers. The invasion was the first military action of the Cold War. Though America entered the war, and American officials concerned the war was against the forces of international communism, and American officials worked anxiously to force some sort of armistice with North Korea. They feared that it would be a wider war with Russia and China, or a some sort warned of World War III. The war ended in July 1953, and 5 million soldiers and civilians died during the war.